everybody, thank you very much for coming back tonight to the pigsty. Tonight we're going to have like a wee open room. Dave's giving me shit on my grammar, so you can pick whatever fucking title you want. But we're talking about changing group mentality. And thank you, Phoebe. Dave, where is it? Dave, you did it wrong. We have to have an epic entrance for Phoebe to feed her ego, just to keep her right. Is she there?
No, she's not.
She's not even there. So yeah, me and Dave were chatting. We couldn't think of. We were thinking of trying to get a stream.
I bet he was, you know.
Oh well,
I it's that kind of entrance.
We had fanfares and everything for you. You were muted.
You're muted then.
You're muted.
I was there. I was listening.
So yeah, we're gonna go with that. Me and Dave were chatting before. I had an idea for a stream. He had an idea for a stream. We sort of bounced back and forth, and we landed on this. So yeah, Parker, if you want to join, Dave, go on. Fuck it. Post a link in the chat. We'll see who we get.
See who we get. Oh, it's going to be bad, and Tangelo's going to turn up.
No, and Tangelo's not coming in. Tangelo's...
You didn't do it right. I need the Presidential Marine Corps Marching Band.
Oh, fuck off. You're lucky you got something at all. So tonight we've been joined by the wonderful Phoebe, Spartan, who is doing the daddy thing. He had 2 babies just before he went off camera, and as always, we've been joined with Dave. So, Dave, seeing as this was your idea, I'm going to lean on you. You were shouting at me.
Yeah.
Yep, you were shouting at me that I didn't get the definition right, the wording right, the grammar right. So, please explain to people properly what we are doing tonight then.
Right, the question is, how do we change how do we change people's minds, but as a group, not as an individual? When you get someone down on an individual level, the psychology of actually changing their mind is relatively well understood.
So we're coming up with a new theory tonight. We're gonna.
No, it's more. There are lots of ways we can see through history. That you can change people's minds as a group, but are any of them ethical? What works, what doesn't work?
Yeah, well, whenever you were talking about changing group mentality about something, all I thought of was Nazis.
Go on.
Well, you know, the idea of changing the group mentality of so many people, dehumanizing people. It's easier to go down that route to make people hate people than it is to find justification for them to like them.
That's it.
As Phoebe would understand at the minute we're going through the trans right and stuff like that, it's easier to make someone hate a trans person than it is to convince them that they're just a person.
Yes. Well, it's worse than that. You've got to make them think they're attacking you. You know, they are to blame for all the world's ills.
I could easily blame Phoebe for everything. I'm happy enough with that.
No, yeah, but the point is, it's the difference between whether you blame Phoebe personally or because she's trans.
No, I just Phoebe.
Yeah. I mean, making everyone hate one person is... I don't know, is that a relatively easy thing? I think that's probably quite a hard thing. I think you need something more abstract.
Well, right.
Well, take the dynamic of North Korea and China. That's groupthink.
There is a lot of groupthink there. But the point is then how would... The question really is how would you go about changing their mind?
It would be hard. It would be really hard. Because they looked at, who was it, the Un's father? They thought he was a god or some shit. Yeah.
Well, they still do, and they think that all three of them still hold their positions in the government.
Yeah.
The grandfather is still the president, even though he's dead.
Even though he's been dead for Well, it's kind of like Japan in World War II. The emperor was considered a god.
Mm.
And finally he was like, no, I'm not a god. And they stopped fighting for the most part.
There, I fixed the spelling of the title. You and fucking Bees can be happy now. It's only got 1 O in the 2. Alright, you're happy. Fucking assholes. I'm not English, Pig. This is known. This is a known thing that grammar does not work well with me.
Yes, but the point is, it was also pointed out to you half an hour ago.
See, I know what that means. I know what that means. It's like giving somebody the finger over there. Yeah,
It's like, fuck off.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Parker and Clockwork Rex as well for coming in. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I think this is Parker's first time on here.
I think so, probably.
Have you anything that you would like to ask a question about on the topic of the title of the or pick on me for spelling or anything, Parker, while you're here?
So, are we like discussing, like, is group mentality a bad thing, or are we thinking like changing people?
Well, group mentality can be either bad or wrong. It's the idea of changing that group to what we would consider to be a good thing. As we used with the trans right as an example, you know, it's very difficult to convince a wide mass of people that that's normal, rather than it's easier than it would be to convince everybody that they're evil and out to get you.
I feel that we should. I think we'd be better if Spartan doesn't hate me to go with Christianity.
I don't hate anybody
because they are a group that the leaders of systematically preach hate against other people to manipulate their in-group. And also the group that we would potentially like to reach the most in terms of how we could persuade them that these things aren't true. How do you persuade someone that is I mean, the latest, oh my God, I was watching the latest NIFB videos calling for death to celebrating the trucks fucking hitting pride parades.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely not
No.
we can at least say that that's not a representation of all Christianity right now.
No.
That's
What
you're
is a
saying.
representation?
Yeah.
And my apologies here. What is a representation is not how they do it, but the fact that the preachers tend to other people outside their faith
Oh yeah, it's
I mean,
true. Yeah.
as a method of group cohesion and keeping people within the faith. Now, I agree the degree with someone like the NIFB is way off the scale.
Well, I heard
Yeah,
I heard an old saying, and they've attributed it to Mark Twain and several other people. It is easier to fool people than it is to convince them they have been fooled.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does seem to be.
That's like the whole Trump thing. He fooled the fuck out of a bunch of people.
You see, with Trump, it's, you know, I always said whenever he was in power, you know, pushing a lie, just make it simple and repeat it often, and people will believe it. But you see, the thing of taking that in reverse and trying to convince them of true life and things like that, it's not simple. You can repeat it all
No.
you fucking want, but it's not simple, and it's very complicated, and everything's complicated. And trying to convince them of the nuances of things, it's... Yeah, how do you change a group, Dave? Do you mass produce the TV? Do you create propaganda? Do you take over the newspapers? You know, because if you're controlling the masses, you're going to have to use a mass controlling device. You can't sit and talk to someone. You're going to have to talk to them all at once. So are we talking using the television, using YouTube, propaganda, things like that?
I
think-
don't have a good way.
Oh.
If I did, I wouldn't be here. Sorry, go on.
I mean, if you look at how like the NFIB and many other like cult mentality or group mentalities form, it's usually an enable like a system enables for such speech and like ideas to flourish quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So like the NFB has gotten more influential due to the fact that he spread on online platforms. So I feel like we should change the systemic routing that allows such speech and like ideas to spread. I'm not saying like ban them all. I'm saying we should there is a way through the system that we could change mentality just as they do.
The problem
Well, I mean-
is, are we willing to lie?
Yes,
are
I don't
we
think-
Go on, sorry.
No, I'm just thinking, like, I think the main thing is, like, what leads people to, like, this group mentality and this, like, tribalism and whatnot. Like, I found, like, making connections with people and stuff is valuable, too. I know, like, maybe less like actively trying to change their mind and more just like developing understanding of different people. Because like definitely I think like the best way to change people's mind as far as like LGBT and trans issues and stuff is to like not allow for the othering that happens where like you don't know any of these people. Yeah. So it's like easy to be like, oh, they're just this or that or whatever, say these things. But when you know somebody...
Yeah, but that's what it boils down to. When you know somebody, that's an individual level. You know, it's you get a politician who's anti-gay and things like that, and turns out his son's gay, and all of a sudden he's friends with everybody. You know, that's on an individual level, though. That's a personal testimony. That's something that they've went through. It's how do you reach the masses to convince them?
Yeah, but that's why I'm kind of thinking like almost something like along these lines where like I'm hanging out with you guys, right? Like some Christian comes along and has this like idea of atheists or whatever, and they come along this and be like, oh wow, a Christian is actually like getting along and having a good time on the stream with all these atheists. Maybe they're like they sort of change their mind about this like other group or whatever.
I think the way to change a group would be to have a figure that opposes the group's ideas, and maybe it won't be exactly a single individual, maybe like a representation, like take Caitlyn Jenner, like how she's like running as a Republican governor in California, and she's a trans person, and even though a lot of the Republican Party doesn't like her, that is a way to fight on the same side as the Republicans, but also challenge their ideas. But then again,
well, no, that's a good idea, because it's the same as the sort of the idea of taking the mass and talking to the masses, is putting someone or putting something that, you know, we're trying to change their mind on in a predominant position, so then they are forced as a group to then deal with it.
I mean, I know Phoebe might be able to answer to this more, but I only just learnt about it. That one of the main reasons that the Gender Recognition Act in the UK got passed was because a transgender person was taken into Parliament to meet the MPs, because most of them had never met anyone.
Your answer.
Say that again?
Very choppy there, Phoebe.
Street.
Yeah, you roboting. Double what he got from Mr. Roboto. Oh,
love
sorry.
that fucking tune. Fucking love that tune, man.
Yes.
Yeah, you might
Super
need to just
choppy
refresh there, Phoebe. I don't know, your internet's not
Yeah.
great. Maybe a refresh will fix it. Dave, if you want to give just a wee synopsis of what that actual was that was passed while she comes back in again.
I don't really know. I don't really know very much about it, unfortunately. I learned about it a few weeks ago. But it was this thing that there were lots of people, because they don't have an opinion, so they fall with whoever shouts the loudest, usually within their party. And I think that this happens a lot. If you don't know someone, whoever came up with it, you're right, exposure. Mm-hmm. Exposure to someone from the people they are trying to other.
There you go.
Way back.
There. Very fluid.
I'm on a hotspot as well, so I shouldn't cut off now. The answer to your question, Dave, is Coronation Street.
Coronation Street?
Julia Hegemony as Hayley Cropper.
Hayley.
There you go. That is one of the main reasons why, because 20 million people saw a trans woman marry a man, and the ridiculousness and the hoop jumping and the police intervention and the ridiculousness of it. And that was one of the reasons why. Also, the UK government were taken to court and were told by the courts, excuse me, you need to change this.
So can you give a breakdown of the law itself, Phoebe?
Well, which part of the law would you like me to start with?
Give us a summary. Don't be doing the whole Phoebe 6-hour talk thing. Just be like, this law is out to stop us from doing this, or this law is giving us permission to do that. You know, it's...
Yeah,
well, before the Gender Recognition Act, the law said I didn't exist as a woman, full stop, and couldn't exist as a woman.
Huh.
Because April Ashley was married to a man named Mr. Corbett. Mr. Corbett went to court and had April Ashley legally declared a man, and his marriage was voided.
Right.
So until we had the Gender Recognition Act, it was illegal for somebody who had male written on their birth certificate who was a trans woman to marry somebody else who had male written on their birth certificate, but it did allow for legal lesbian marriages because it would see a trans woman as a man, so if you married somebody that had female on their birth certificate, you were fine.
So it just fell back in the old school ideas of man and woman's the only person who's allowed to get married.
Yeah. But it also meant that I would have gone to a men's prison. It also meant that I couldn't go into a single-sex ward in hospitals for the correct sex of mine. It also meant that I would be kept off of screening lists for breast cancer.
I actually had an uncle who got breast cancer, and
There you go.
Yeah.
They would not have called me for a mammogram.
Yeah, it's not just a woman thing.
Mm-hmm.
He caught it, and it spread through his body, and he died.
Here's the difficult thing now. I have to tell my doctor when I hit 40, excuse me, you need to open up this special part of your system so that I can be called for a prostate screen. Because the system doesn't recognise that I have a prostate still.
Huh.
You just like making things complicated, don't you, Phoebe?
My ego is the reason here.
She's weaving that spider web. You know how that goes.
At least
But
she's
no,
not in a
there
towel tonight. She's keeping it civil.
I've even put a bra on for you. I realised when I first came onto the stream I had no bra on and this is a see-through top.
Hang on now.
I noticed that there's... Oh, yes. Stereotyping.
Don't be at that now. No, but yeah, as Dave says, the only way is exposure, is to take that thing that the person does take that person or a representation that person is of something, and to put it in the spotlight. You know, the world is changing now. Again, to tap on Phoebe, a lot more people in the mainstream are coming out. Celebrities are coming out. Actors are coming out. You know, they're putting people in these roles that are supposed to be in these roles, and it's making it. I don't want to use the word forcing, but the fact that it's being used more and they're...
Freeing is the word you're looking for.
But it's forcing the assholes to get used to it.
Yeah, but the problem is you have to be slightly careful within that side of tokenizing it.
Yeah.
Because that brings its own level of resentment.
Uh-huh.
I've had the bizarrest levels of tokenization in my life, I have. And I have had clearance from the people running this stream to mention this. I have had experiences where I used to be a white nationalist, and people used to embrace me as one of the good people that they didn't give a monkeys that I was a trans woman and an open trans woman. I just spread the correct kind of white nationalism.
Well, that's just one single voter type of idea. Like, we can put this to the side because you hate the same people as us.
Oh, yeah. But the number of married men that would happily have an affair with me, yeah, quite high.
I feel that... No, I don't want to go down that route.
Go on, Dave. No.
You started, so you'll finish.
No, I think the problem is the dichotomy in sexuality isn't real, and the number of men that are attracted across the entire spectrum is disturbing. It's hidden away. It's forcibly hidden away by... but when you actually get them one-on-one, they are much more willing to... not even willing, they're fucking pushing for it.
That's because they haven't it's been repressed, so it explodes.
It's a nice new experience for them. They're getting to do something dirty. The guilt can be released in this secret tryst that you are having with the nice lady that says all the right things, you know.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, the dark side's not all bad. The dark side's not all bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Pink Floyd did something about dark sides. Why do they run about the moon?
We'll use this, right? Clockwork Rex, you're a politician, right? We're going to make you a politician. We're going to make you president of this little island of 1 million
Turfism.
people, right? 1 million people, say, for talk's sake, right?
All right.
How do you then convince the people to change the law? Say for talk's sake, they have a blasphemy law and they're quite a religious group of people. What would you then do as an atheist, maybe snuck in, but you're trying to prove of differences of church and state and things like that, and the blasphemy law is out of date. How would you go forward to convince the masses of religious people that you've now are in charge of?
Are they a homogenous religious group?
Shush. Easy question. Easy. We're not going to be all pedantic. Yes.
I would try to convince them that words only have the power that you give them.
You go down the intellectual route.
Yeah.
Dave, would you
try to be smart about
that?
What?
I'm not sure I agree with that.
That's exactly why I was going to go with Dave. I don't really agree with that either. But Dave, you go on. I'm supposed to be the nice host.
Well, I don't agree that the problem you've got is that words give power to other people. And that's the problem. You're right. Individually, words don't have power to. I say something to you, you can take it offensive. You can. But the point is I say something to someone that is very easily swayed, or a fucking psychopath, or
just naive. Just naive.
Just naive. Yes, just naive. Right. And they can, especially when it comes to dehumanizing someone else. They go away and they think, well, I'm driving down the road and, for want of a better word, that gay person at the side of the road, they know, well, they're not human. It doesn't matter if I hit them with the car. And that's not saying the words are what led to that.
Well, okay. Well, then I would hire a critical cripple, and we would break out the whips and chains and beat some sense into it. How about that? It's a joke. It's a joke.
I know it's a joke. I was just thinking I wouldn't be very good at that.
Oh, you never know.
I'm just saying, DM me in Discord, Wondercrab. Is it Wondercrab? Yeah, DM me in Discord, Wondercrab. You were talking an awful lot about Darth Dawkins, and that does not go down well in my Discord. An awful lot of hatred for him, and
Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, so if you bring up that, you're going to get the hammer. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. Sorry.
Yeah. Do not mention Darth Dawkins because he's quite happy
Asshole
to phone
104.
in.
I was only using the name once as reference. From now on, Asshole 104. But yeah, it's
the man.
But yeah, DM me, man. Just send me a DM and we can chat if you want to come on. We'll have a free slot if Tartan doesn't come back. No, there you go. Tartan's gone. So Wonder Crab, if you want to join the conversation, the link is in the chat. So scroll back, you'll find it. You can jump in. So Dave, you were disagreeing with Clockwork.
Well, no, he agreed with me on that point. That I think he did, because we talked about beating them up after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was talking to Badger earlier about the fact that I think that we can, as a society, we are no longer willing, or as individuals in a society, we are no longer willing to allow it to take generations to change minds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, exactly. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, they were both racist as fuck. I mean, come on.
My granny is still a little racist.
Fair enough.
She is, man. I bought a fucking black doll. I've mentioned this a couple of times. The child took her shopping. She picked out a doll. My granny was there on Christmas Day, and we opened it up, and she asked why we bought her a black doll. And I was like, I bought her the doll she wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing is I don't, in terms of these things, it's one of those things where I think as a society we can fix a lot of problems if we teach people they are allowed abhorrent views.
My mum is making a genuine effort.
You be racist, you be racist. That's fine. But how you interact with other people, how you treat other people, that has to be separate to your racism. You can and if you can teach people that you can have this separation, you can other people without too much risk.
Well, you got to compartmentalize that. If you're a racist fuck and you're walking down the street and there's a bunch of black people or Asian people or whatever kind of people coming at you, you can't just start fucking Tourette's and slurs at them. You know what I mean? You're gonna get the beat down. Yeah.
Because I think in my says people don't seem to be able to separate their thoughts from them. And I agree that they don't at the moment. They definitely don't at the moment. But the problem is we've gone down in the UK. We tried to do a lot of things with racism, and I don't think it worked. What I think it did is it suppressed it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
rather than dealing with it. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think if you can keep up suppressing it for long enough, it will probably go away. But I don't think governments change, attitudes change. I don't think you can suppress it for long enough to matter.
No.
Following on from that point, you've got the
Oh.
government of this country that says it doesn't exist.
Yes.
Oh, they're saying they're just denying it flat out.
They released a report that said Britain is a post-racial society.
Well, that's like looking at the surface of the ocean and not seeing the fucking shark that's under the water there. Oh, it looks all calm and yeah, let's go for a swim. Oh no.
When you push things underground, though, you make things worse.
I can agree with that.
Not necessarily, but
I can attest to that. I can attest to
We're going to
that.
go broad brush and stuff, Dave. And if you have 50 people who, can't be the little bit racist that they want to be, they'll all go and hang about with only them other 50 people. And before you know it, they're not only saying these things, they're thinking these things, they're fucking, they're getting worse because they're surrounded by the people that are reinforcing each other. So then you end up going from the possibility of having, say, 50 people that are slightly racist that you could talk to and bring down by surrounding them with non-racist people, to them feeling persecuted and only going and hanging out with racist people. Then they all get worse.
And Pig, you just gave the perfect example of groupthink. These groups get together and they have the same ideas, and yeah, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
I think a way to address group mentality, like what Pig's talking about, like how if you prosecute a certain idea and say it's bad or whatnot, then it's just gonna have all these people who are like suppressing this idea gonna group together. And I think there's subtle ways you could suppress certain ideas that doesn't lead to that. I guess you could try to because flat out banning racism will lead to that. But if you banned certain activity that would be deemed racist or some sort of race-fueled hatred or something, and ostracize it, like bring up an individual who's an extreme hyperbolic example of this racist action or whatever, then it would lead to a silencing of the lambs and causing them to just reject that whole idea.
Stay the fuck away from my liver, man. I'm just saying.
I want to know what Ricardo, if I can just jump out and then you can keep talking. Ricardo, what am I demonstrably false on?
We need more information.
Yes.
Do you think that the advent of phones is going to reduce the casual racism?
We will let you go next, Phoebe. You can put your arm down.
We just need to know why MathPig's in trouble.
Fucking Jim started this shit now where everybody puts their fucking hand up waiting for a turn.
I'll put my hand up. That works.
Yeah.
That works really well.
Yeah, it works for me too. Yeah.
Go on ahead, Dave, before Phoebe gets in there.
I'm intrigued as to whether or not you think that having a camera in your pocket, having recording devices on you, it is going to have a long-term consequences towards the positive, to the reduction of, should we say, hate crimes, or I want to get minor because I don't want to call them hate crimes because they're more. The hate crime is bigger, but let's go casual racism, casual homophobia.
It could go either way. It could go either way, honestly.
I have to
I
say,
mean,
from interactions, since my mother started coming to more of this and having interactions with more of the trans community and stuff, I can actually see an effort in my mum in changing the way she turns and stuff. I mentioned to Dave, like, she would say to my wee girl, we girls don't do this, and that's for boys and stuff like that. And I've said it to her and she's been around this, and there's a conscious effort because she's being surrounded now with people like, that we're all accepting, we're all just us, we're all just people.
Maya, do you think it'd be a good idea if all, I mean, you're in the US, we're in the UK, if all politicians had to go to a certain level of, a certain amount of school each year as a politician?
I'm in the US.
But what do you think? If you had to go to, okay, let's go with diversity training. 2 weeks of diversity training every year.
I feel like that would, one, do some decent work on certain individuals, but two, it would ruffle the feathers of many politicians, causing them to just absolutely despise it. Like the week before they go to the camp, they'll like put out 1,000 tweets saying why it's so stupid, and then say the same thing after they go to the camp.
The problem is, I think they're going to do that anyway.
They wouldn't turn up, full stop.
You don't
I
think
would boycott it, and I would make sure there were protests outside of it, and I would have turned around and gone, this is the most ridiculous thing. Why am I being made to think a certain way? I am an elected member. I should have the freedom to think however I want. How dare you tell me how to think? I will think however I want. My electorate choose how to elect me. If they don't like the way I think, they can vote me out.
I think that's silly that a politician can let a politician is definitively not allowed to think what he wants. A politician is supposed to be representative of the people he represents, and
yes, but the people know what the person's going to be when they vote for them.
oh yes,
People
yes.
still vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she still says what she says. People still vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she still says what she says. People still vote for these people, and they still say what they want. And if you were to say to either of those two people, excuse me, you need to say these things, you can't say this thing, you can't say that thing, you have to go on this course, you have to go on that course. Even if it is with the best of intentions, they are the kinds of individuals that will turn around and say, my electorate choose who goes to Congress, who goes to Parliament. They know what I'm like, they know what I'm going to say, and it is their choice, not yours, what I say on this floor as a representative of these people, having had them know full well what I'm going to say.
Oh, I know that the real life of it is. Like, I'm just saying that they're supposed to be representative of the people. But the people put them in power knowing who they are, and they give them the freedom to do that. And the people will say, I am saying these things because I've been elected by like-minded people. I understand where you're going.
They're a representative, not a delegate.
I think Maya's comment's probably the best on that one. I think it'd be better if all politicians went to a certain level of hell.
Wait, how do we get to hell? Wait, I go get a beer and come back and we're in hell. Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
drinking tea. How
Fair
did
enough.
tea end up in hell?
Well, shoot. I have a
Hell
car on my desk.
Well, hell has the best barbecue. That's all I'm saying.
It smells nice.
Hell hath no fury like a politician.
You can't survive without politicians in some sort of manner, though.
Noxman says, elect an arsehole, expect an arsehole attitude. The problem is how can we get... Okay, and go the other way. Because it kind of fits into the group... How the hell do you deal with the group mentality and get it? How do you stop us electing arseholes?
There are multiple ways of doing that. And we don't have enough time for me to say what I'd like to say, so I'm going to stand back on this one.
Is the phrase always true, Dave? Would the phrase always be true that... I've lost the phrase now, but I'll try and put the point across. Thanks, mobile phone. When people go looking for power, and when people have power thrust upon them. I can't remember the fucking... You know the phrase I'm talking
The phrase you're looking for is power that people look for is the worst kind of person to have that power. Power that is thrust upon people are the only people that should have the power.
I don't think that's the phrase. That's the same thing.
No, but it's a mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen that the fairest and best form of democracy seems to be random lots.
Oh, like in Dragon Slayer, when they just pick the lot out of the thing to see who got ate by the dragon? Yeah.
What?
And then it was the
What?
princess.
Never heard of
Jury
that.
duty.
Yeah.
You've already
Basically.
lost me.
Jury duty.
Jury duty, right?
Well, yeah. There
You
you
pick 100. You pick 600 people for the UK randomly, and they are they're the parliament for the next 12 months.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert for like a 30-year-old movie. But, you know.
I think,
have you seen
I think
an
if you
actual
did that
rep-
in the
Sorry, go on ahead, Parker.
I think if you do something like that in the U.S. and like where I live in Indiana, you would get a very not diverse jury, you would not. Your system will be racist.
For 6 months, though. Or a year. Or what's the time you're giving them, Dave?
Oh, I arbitrarily said 12 months, but I would probably go with longer than that. The problem is you need time to get established.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen doesn't seem to matter where you go power-wise. Wherever if something is in power for any quantity of time, it becomes pure cronyism.
Oh, sure it does.
I live near Liverpool, and Liverpool has been a Labour stronghold for it's the Labour centre of Britain.
How is Joe Anderson doing in prison? How's he doing? How's he doing with those handcuffs on?
He's not liking them.
Wait, didn't Black Sabbath come out of Liverpool?
Oh, lots of things.
Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
See, I'm an American. I'm a dumb American. So.
But the point is, it's not that you can't blame Labour, you can't blame the movement, you can't blame for this. It's just those people got comfortable in those positions, and they don't want to give them up. They don't want to.
You can blame Labour. You can blame the movement because the movement itself sets up the institutional structures that allow for these people to flourish. It doesn't have any oversights or balances or checks that make sure that these people don't actually have this kind of...
How can you have those oversights? The
simplest one is term limits. You only allow somebody X number of terms in a certain thing. It forces people to be recycled out of the system.
Do term limits work? I don't know.
To a degree they do. Just imagine this. You could have had some US presidents going on forever and ever and ever without term limits. Ronald Reagan would very easily have won a third, fourth, maybe even a fifth term. George Bush would have never won a third term. Bill Clinton would have won a third term.
Well, see, that's part of the problem in the U.S. is our senators and our Congress, our representatives don't have term limits. So they can stay in their jobs forever. And fuck that. Yeah, fuck
some
that.
Some states do. I'll give some states, like Michigan does, California does, but at a federal level, you've got 80-year-old senators that have been senators for 50 years, since they were eligible to stand. I take Joe Biden. I think he was 35 when he was elected as a senator, and he won 7 terms in the Senate, 6-year terms each.
And now he's president.
And he was vice president.
Yeah, fuck this country.
And he took 4 years off.
Well, I mean, his son died, so I can see that. So
I think definitely in the U.S., senator limits would definitely encourage changes in political thought and political
Maya says
focus.
Maya should just get in here.
I know she should.
Get in here, Maya.
Maya says term limits don't work. We have term limits don't work. We have evidence in the US because we have some states that do them and some states that don't. And when you compare them, the outcomes are no better.
Well, I'm
not sure how extensive that is in terms of proving the point. I mean, my concern would be that you give up good political capital. You give up somebody that is fantastic at their job. That's not a crony. That is doing their job. Yes, they might be a little bit comfortable, but they're very, very good at it.
Well, I live in Virginia. And we elect our governor for a 7-year term, and then he cannot run for re-election. Somebody else has to be elected.
I'm intrigued about the idea of having term limits that you can go back in after. If you did a turnaround and said everyone could only have 1 term at a time.
His name is Vladimir Putin. He does that.
He does something. You're right.
But how do you set your time limits, Dave? How do you come up with it? Depending on the state, as Parker pointed out, where Parker's living, if you, set the state limit or set the limit for someone coming in as a year, you're going to get racists every time. You set it at 5 years, you get 1 big racist. It's...
Again, she's right. Term limits don't make... It makes them more focused on making the right people happy so they can make their next move. You see, we're going to go down a completely different route if I go down this one, which is that I have huge things as to what politicians should be allowed and not allowed to do. I basically think if you want to go into politics or into public service, you should be giving up an awful lot for it.
Oh yeah.
We've had
I was
this
getting ready to say
conversation.
politicians are public servants.
We've had this conversation
what they are.
before, Dave. Dave takes it right out there, like, but he's right. He's right. It is.
But here's a more fundamental question. Where is the authority for these individuals in the first place? Where does it come from in the first place? Because it was established long before any of us were even thought of in existence. So where does the authority for these individuals come from in the first place?
Authority's given
Well,
to
it
them by
comes
the
to the
people.
government.
Yeah, it's supposed to come from the people.
Yeah, it gets given to them by the people.
I'm sorry, no, it doesn't.
I can.
Not in the UK. In the UK, everyone is a subject of Her Majesty.
Oh yeah, we don't have kings and queens up here.
Yeah, the problem is his thing. Yours kind of still does. Your authority comes from the royals and then the document that created it. The power never went back to the people. It just went to
America
your
is not a democracy; it's a republic, and it's very clearly a republic, not a democracy.
It's
The
a
closest country on
constitutional
earth,
Yeah.
the closest country on earth to being a democracy is Switzerland, and still that has problems.
Well, yeah. I'll give you that. But yeah, we're a constitutional republic. We're not a strict democracy because it's not one person, one vote over here. No.
No.
Yeah, definitely
One
not.
state, one vote.
Yeah.
The Senate, one state, two votes.
Yeah, the idea. What do you call that group that you have there? They do that 270 them or something that you all have to get. That.
The Electoral College
Yeah.
is
Yeah, there you
538
go.
faceless people.
Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the idea of the electoral college and the history of it, and probably why it was there and stuff like. But it's so
it makes sense.
outdated.
Well, it's outdated.
It's so outdated. It's
Yeah, it's
and
an
right.
outdated idea.
Yeah, right now the idea of the electoral college is purely a power grab. It's just being held on to as a power grab.
I
It
think
entrenches the two-party system very well.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely electoral college in the U.S. I think is probably. I mean, I haven't studied other political systems in different countries, but I would say the electoral college definitely focuses and emphasizes a two-party system. It heavily discourages a third party.
unfortunately, it's the one thing. It's made me angry. Okay, but I've pretty much come down to the fact that I am now the only thing I think I can do, hopefully in my lifetime, that would make any difference whatsoever to any sort of real change in politics is to change the fucking electoral system.
To what?
It's got to be a proportional representation of some sort.
What kind of PR? Are we talking
Outright
lists?
PR. No, just fucking
But-
outright PR.
But are we talking regional constituencies, whole country? Are we
Whole
talking
country.
top-up lists? What are we talking about
Whole
here? Do
country,
we have
straight PR. Fuck the local connection they keep trying to keep. That's a con that fucking is trying to do it. I'm happy them having fucking local offices. They can fucking distribute the offices around the country, but straight PR for thing because it enables little parties to get in there. It forces politics into a more compromising position, and basically you end up more in the middle because of it.
Wouldn't politics end up like Belgium, though, with hundreds and hundreds of days to form a government?
Potentially, but that's not the worst thing in the world.
But you have to have somebody at the tiller making sure that the ship is going in a straight line.
Yeah, but you still have the same hang you have in this country, which is your government is your government until the next government is formed.
But was that the case in Northern Ireland between 2017 and 2019, though? Where
Yes.
the executive collapsed
Yeah, but the
in
government
its entirety and it was just run by civil servants.
Yeah.
But they have
Should we-
government to take over.
Should we have civil servants running the country in place of politicians? Is that an acceptable compromise when there is no government that can be formed?
It was done very well to the point that they got to they couldn't make certain decisions. They started running out of money and stuff like that there. But they weren't given the power to make the decisions, but they basically ran it for the guts of fucking 3 years. Yeah. Dave, post a link for Maya.
Oh, I've got a question for
I've threatened to
Dave.
take all her points if she doesn't come in here, so she has to come in.
I've got a question for Dave. When are you not mad about something?
Oh, I'm always mad about something. What I am lucky about, you see, is that my memory is so completely broken. I can be mad about something now, and be mad about something completely different in half an hour.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Dave stays mad because he's like the Hulk only in reverse, where it's to avoid thinking about certain things. And it's like, my legs don't work. I'm going to be angry at America for an hour. Rawr!
The problem is there's so much stuff at the moment in our politics is outright set out. I mean, the entire of conservatism, the entire of the conservative movement in the US and the States, I'm assuming other places as well, is set up to exploit.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
So, and it's just and then you go with Labour. Well, you're never going to get a fucking socialist, an actual fucking socialist government down the Labour route, and there just isn't that in the States. The Labour movement there is non-existent now.
Yeah, we don't have one.
I need to get Dave some spiked wheels for his wheelchair, like they had in that Bond movie, so he can just run the motherfucker over and not worry about it.
And the problem is, the worst thing is I'm not. This is sound weird. I'm not 100% certain quite how far left I am.
Yeah, I go back and forth the same.
Right,
I used to be very conservative, and
my problem is I don't think it's relevant me having an opinion how far left I am, because there's no chance of us going anywhere left in reality in my lifetime. I don't think.
So what's the point of shouting for these things you know ain't gonna happen in your lifetime?
I can answer that.
Yeah, I deliberately worded it in a specific way to get a rise from somebody. Thank you for stepping up, Phoebe. Go on.
I can answer that because I ran for election once. Ran for public office once. And there was this
School
candidate
president
that
doesn't
was...
count. Class president doesn't count.
No, I'm talking,
Prom queen?
Borough council here. I'm talking borough council, county council. I'm talking real public office here.
Yeah.
And you'd always get the fringe candidate. And there was this one guy that wanted to abolish the council tax entirely. Abolish it completely. He'd turn up at events I was at, he'd turn up at events other people were at, and he'd be shouting. We would ignore him. But he'd stand outside with a banner, with a placard, denouncing the council tax. Until eventually, I had to make a statement on it.
Yeah.
Other candidates had to make a statement on it. And the person that was helping me with my campaign went over to him and said, "Why on earth are you doing this? You have no hope whatsoever." Yeah, I have no hope today.
No.
But I've just got your candidate from a major party, another candidate from a major party, and another candidate from a major party to actually talk about this issue that was not an issue without me standing here with this placard shouting like a lunatic.
Yeah.
So I have pushed the ball.
This is exactly what Fox News has done. In terms of, I mean, the fucking Hillary stuff is the perfect example. Because it just keeps asking the fucking questions, so that every other news station then has to address an issue that's not an issue that's been solved. It went away a long time ago, but it's kept there. It's kept in people's minds all the time, and they're seen as suppressing it if they're not talking about it.
I think David brings up a good point, because if you look at critical race theory in like the media, Fox News has 300% increase the mentioning of critical race theory in the past 5 months. And that's just because it brings attention, and it's only been a talking point from the right, and the reason why the left has had to talk about it is because the right keeps bringing it up. But I would say it's had a negative impact, because it's definitely brought out the rhetoric of, well, critical race theory is racist and whatnot, and blah 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 blah, and Democrats can't really do anything about it, even once they speak out against it.
I mean, it's not. I guess it depends on how you look at it. So, a lot of people didn't understand that critical race theory was an actual thing, and from the left, most of the people who've heard about it actually do like the concepts. And so, when we're talking about how do you write history? So like a lot of people, like with Black people, it's not that we necessarily wanted a month, right? We wanted to be shown in history. We wanted our part of our own to be shown in our own history. Our history is American history. And, the only thing we could get people to acknowledge was some people who did some things this month. But in looking at critical race theory, it actually shows how a curriculum could look if we were to actually write it into American history. What we have on the left is idiots who don't know how to I don't want to say talking points, but like how to frame a narrative. We critical race theory is a good thing, and we should be championing it as, yes, our young people need to know about, our nation's history, and we need to stop. It's going to be really hard to get this through. We don't need to champion people
We
like
brought
George
you
Washington
in for help, man.
Sorry, we don't need to champion people like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. They're not, they did what they did, and it was good insofar as it was. But we need to talk about what it looked like for the people, like all of us in here. And each country has like their own thing. I was watching a thing earlier today where it was somebody from Canada, and they were like, well, in our school books, they talk about the Canadian efforts that contributed to the end of World War II. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? They explained it to me because I didn't know. I thought Canada was just chilling up there, kind of like Switzerland. Like, what? There's a war? We're not really told about that. And it's the same thing with oh God, the Southern Strategy or whatever the fuck it is they teach about the War of Northern Aggression. It's all in the framing. So if we can get, what we need is a Northern Daughters of the Confederacy to really talk about, what the history was and, what that looked like for people in each camp, what that looked like for African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, women. We all have a role in our nation's history, and a lot of that is being suppressed. And the left is doing a horrible job of explaining that or even like noticing it. And every country has this, like this wealth of resources that it's just, choosing to ignore.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that, every culture, every group has a narrative of how they're influenced and like what their position in a conflict was. But I think the big problem, especially in the media here in the U.S., is the narrative from the right that is strictly, it doesn't take any historical relevancy. It just matters in rhetoric, I would say.
Well, that's what they do, though, with every subject, though, right?
Yeah, but I think that's like the big issue about bringing up critical race theory is like, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing to bring it up. I'm saying that we have let it be taken hostage by the right with their rhetoric and how
they've defined it basically.
No, everything. I mean, do you not remember Dr. Seuss? Like that was the left coming for, our children's books. And, before that it was Mr. Potato Head, and the left just couldn't, tolerate, Mr. Potato Head. It had to be the potato heads. Every fucking thing they do. I mean, we're hyper focused on this because it's the thing of the day, but like tomorrow it'll be something else. They do this with every fucking thing.
You bring up those two things, but in the UK, we just laughed at those two things.
Yeah.
It may sound absurd, but
no.
When I look at it and I see people on social media in Britain seeing these things from America, particularly from the far right, the potato head thing, the Dr. Zeus thing, etc., we generally just ridicule and laugh at it and go, "What on earth are you talking about? Why are you wasting your time on these things?" And from what I see, from particularly a British point of view, is we are scratching our heads going, what is America actually on about?
And what I hate is that that's being framed as like Americans when it's really just a niche group of the right. It's not even everybody on the right that believes any of these things. It's just like this merry band of like assholes that it's the evangelicals, honestly. If you talk to like more centrist, like get out of the alt section, like they understand what's going on.
But then they got now something like 25% of America is believing QAnon level stuff now.
God, no. I hope not. Yeah, no. I hope not.
Not that they believe in QAnon. They don't like completely disagree with all of the talking points. It's like, well, maybe this one, you know, but it's, yeah, I mean, which is still pretty bad. I mean, you know, because you could just, for any QAnon talking point, you could just actually Google the truth. But again, that goes back to whatever you guys were talking about when I first came here. Like, how do you get into the minds of these people? And like, you got to show people how to educate themselves. I came to this community for that very thing. I was in, I guess you guys call it the woo community. And it was really hard to figure out what was going on because there's no books. You're just listening to a bunch of people say things. And a lot of it was contradictory, you know, and it was like I was saying to one person, it's like, I can't believe in a flat earth and a round earth. I got to choose. And it's actually the flat earth that got me out of the community. Because they had hollow earth, hollow moon,
wait there.
all this
Mom,
stuff.
you didn't believe in the flat earth at one point, did you?
Please, God, no.
I mean, I can't say that I believed in it.
What does it matter if she did?
What
What does it matter if she did?
God damn it.
I have so much respect for her.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I do. I definitely do have more respect for people who were in it and came out. Like, I have so much respect for those people. It's hard to do. Admitting you're wrong, that's really hard to do. And so I wish I could say, oh, no, I was totally ingrained and indoctrinated and I got out of it. I was listening to people. And when you're in the community, it's just like, wow, like, this is really compelling. And like, I don't know, just one day it was just like, wait a minute, why don't more people think like this? Like, why do we think there's a round earth? And that was like 2 videos, and like, oh, duh. Like, I knew this, 5th grade. But like most people aren't thinking like that. It's not like, let me hear the other side. And so why I came to YouTube was to get the debates. It's like, okay, on any subject that I want to know, I need to hear somebody talking about the counter. I need to hear the point presented, and I need to hear the counterpoint at the same time. And that's really, like, I don't know, that way of thinking for me is what got me out of it. But like, most people don't. They're just like, oh, well, that convinced me, so that's it. Especially with evangelicals, like, that's their whole life. Like, they don't believe in dinosaurs or evolution or, you know.
Oh, young Earth creationists.
Yeah. Evangelicals, there are a lot of things, right? Science. They don't believe in science, you know, because it doesn't conform with the Bible. And having been raised a Catholic who was also as a Catholic, we believed in science, very big into science. For the things of science that that weren't aligned with the Bible, we were just like, well, science just hasn't caught up with us yet. There's no reason to just like not believe in it. It's like, all right, well, this is where science is at, and they'll catch up. To like just completely throw it away. I don't know. But there have been a lot of priests that have spent a lot of time and have made a lot of discoveries that have contributed, like scientific discoveries. So the Catholic Church is very proud of them. So dispelling science is never really a thing, at least not for people in my area.
You have enough money, you can research anything, and that's the church has been doing that for years. Like,
They kind of understood that you can't make that they made generational changes. They didn't try and change things overnight. They tried to move very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that that's the best way, and this is where I don't think that's going to continue to work. I mean, I'm certain it's not going to continue to work with them.
As we mentioned earlier, Dave, people now in this day and age won't wait. Everybody must have it instant now. You can't take your time to make change. You can't.
No, I don't think it has to be instant.
Well, not instant, all right. I'm being fucking facetious, but you know what I mean. It has to be. We can't take the time now to have 2 and 3 generations.
No.
Why not? Why can't we?
Well, we could, but people don't have the patience now. Everything is instant. The generation has grown up with the internet now. The information is there.
But are we sure about that? Because I used to be one of the drum bangers, one of the people that used to give the speeches, and I would do that as a slow drip, regular thing. I admit I was one of the people that was spouting all the nonsense, and it was done to make sure that it was a long-term project. Yes, okay, people may not have long attention spans, but you're not seeing what the definition of long term is. long term is continuous, gradual, intense.
Totally understand, but most don't see that. Most don't see that, though. Sorry to interrupt, but the masses don't.
But within
see
these movements, though, that's how they operate.
That's the point. To fight the I mean, I used it at the time. Trans rights is a perfect example. Trans rights is something that is almost certainly going to be solved within 30 or 40 years.
Sooner
But
than that.
We hope.
People are
We
not
hope.
willing to accept that now. They have to. They want to live their lives now. I say that like you're not here. My apologies. My point is, people want to live their lives now. They're not willing to wait for their kids to live that life.
Yeah.
I
Or
fully
for
understand it,
their
and that's why I'm motivated, because I know I need to push the needle, but I know I can't push the needle all the way. People need to be behind me, pushing the needle with me as well. I know that needle is not going to be pushed all the way to where I want it to, because the ways these things change legislatively, socially, will be slow, long-term things. Certain things you can say straight away were never going to get off the ground. Poll tax. It's never going to get off the ground. And it was introduced, people hated it, it went away. But trans rights, racial equality, sexual equality, they're not like that. They take people pushing the needle and continuously pushing the needle, because on the other side, there are people pushing back. We had Bell versus Tavistock was one thing. So what came next? AB versus CD, which pushed back against it.
Would you agree, Phoebe? Would you agree that the movement now for trans rights, right? And then we'll go back to about this. The movement now is moving faster than all before. Look at what originally took the time for women's rights to kick in, and then gay rights and stuff. They are becoming, being fought for harder. And with the
I say they're losing right now.
No, we're not.
No.
Bugger off, are we losing?
The point of just
1999, in 1999, I had no legal rights whatsoever as a trans person.
I think trans rights has been winning, right up until the last couple of years. It's this growing thing, and therefore I think
complete nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. All that's happening is a few loudmouths have got friends in places that make it seem that way. Sunday, in London, thousands and thousands and thousands of people came out in support of trans rights. A dozen people stood outside the embassy of New Zealand to go, Laurel Hubbard, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. No. Right. Those people being seen like that, those 12 people, are amplified beyond what society and what they actually do are. And the thousands of people that turned up that didn't get any coverage are the actual majority of this country.
I agree with you completely.
Southern voters
have been
polled on this.
They are
People have been polled on this.
Are going to write the law. This is what fucking
they may not be the ones who write the law.
Has been set up to do. This is why LGBA has set up. I will guarantee that they will be on the next fucking advisory panel.
Well, that's very nice for them. But this government won't be in charge forever.
No, I agree. And that's when I think it'll swing back.
And the Equality Act is still there. The Gender Recognition Act is still there.
Trans rights, as I said, I think they are going backwards now. I think overall we will win on that.
They're not going backwards. They're just moving forwards at a slower rate.
Well, yeah.
Court case after court case after court case. AEA versus ECHR. ECHR won.
No, and again, we're just seeing the last bastion of a bunch of fuckers fucking off, right? Before they die.
Yeah, there is an awful lot of that as well. We're going to burn it before we leave, because they know that nothing's going to be, they're not going to have another generation. So they're sitting in power when they were young, going, we don't need to worry about this, so our kids will sort that. They'll still be in charge. We'll just let them go to this, that, and the other. And now they're realizing that there's not going to be a generation of conservatives. It's going to be a generation of progressives. So they want to make sure that, if they're getting kicked out, then the law that will last after them will try, as I say, to guarantee that they have to live in a conservative way, even after they're gone. That's why it's worse now with laws and stuff.
That's why it looks worse. But you have to remember, the law is usually one of the last things to catch up. So you don't want to think about public acceptance and where the needle is moving based on the laws that are on the books. Like there had to be public acceptance, like widespread public acceptance of almost most concepts. You know, and I'm thinking like Brown versus the Board of Education was probably one of the, you know, exceptions. But when we're thinking about like, you know, interracial marriages, gay marriages, Black people being able to vote, even like there's a lot of acceptance, or even women being able to vote. There's a lot of acceptance of this in the public. And then the law is like, wait, I can do this and you're not going to vote me out? Okay, I'll write the bill. So like it looks worse on paper than it actually is on the street, usually. But yeah, I am not saying that no one should be concerned.
But the thing
there's a number of things that are very concerning on the books and coming up.
But the thing with Brown v. Board of Education, I went back too far in my American history there. Brown v. Board of Education was you had Southern governors that were actively trying their best to push back against that when it did happen. And that's sometimes what can happen is that one individual can make the change where a lot of other people have failed, or can be perceived to be making the change, or can be perceived to be making the stand, when it's not actually the reflection of where we actually are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their outliers are always prevalent in society.
Parker and Clockwork have been very quiet and sitting back and listening. Parker, I'm going to give you the floor because I don't, as I said earlier, I think this is the first time you've been here, so we're going to pick on you now.
So, yeah, I've been listening. I've been unfocusing a little bit, but yeah, the whole if you look at American history, certain, especially in the South, I was researching Southern Democrats and how long they were down there. And there's like one senator who was down there for like the longest like historical time until someone recently just beat him.
Yeah.
But he was a very racist Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And he was against everything. He signed with the Southern Manifesto, which was essentially disagreeing with the Supreme Court and saying like we should just like overthrow what they said about whatever. And it is important to understand that the guy died about 2 decades. It was like 3 decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a Republican senator or whatever. But the influence that Democrat had, even though he still has a little bit of ties to the Democrat Party, still like transferred over to the Republican senator. So I think the whole issue of who's pushing what doesn't entirely, I mean, it does matter which party's pushing what, but certain ideas that are being pushed can be transferred to the other party once there's a change in power.
Wait, to the other party?
So like with like Joe Biden is still like bombing Syria and whatnot, even though he was kind of against that. Like Trump was doing the same thing, but Biden is doing a lot worse.
No, he's right against that. He'll send them over. I don't think we have any politicians that are. I don't know. Maybe now. But traditionally, politicians have been very pro-war.
War
certainly
makes money.
Yes, it really does, and certainly Biden. I don't know that Biden ever saw a war he didn't like.
But Senator, I think it's Gravel. It's not Gravel. I'm mispronouncing that. But he recently died, and he was extremely anti-war. Like, if you watch the debate, I think it was the 2008 election with Joe Obama, Hillary Clinton. He calls them out. He calls them out saying like all these people, they're still gonna want to continue combat in the Middle East, and I'm against that. I've been against it since the beginning. I exposed the Vietnam War with the Pentagon Papers, and it is.
Voted for it.
There's outliers, of course.
Just to jump in, you are correct. Mike Gravel, former Alaska senator, died on the 26th of this month.
Alaska's insanely red.
He was a Democrat, and Alaska's only been insanely red recently.
Yeah.
2008, it elected a Democrat.
No, I'm not saying we should throw gasoline on and set it on fire. I think Alaska's made of gasoline, actually. What I'm saying is, you're going to get people in office that reflect the people, which is why I believe it's like, I think I put into the chat earlier, like it's better to educate than to try to legislate. And I'm not saying you need to choose one or the other. Like, you know, I believe you legislate first. Like, yes, like stop. Like you should not be mean to trans people, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, legislate that. But then you need to educate. Like, and the education is the more important part, because like if we're gonna like actually like stand by what we believe, like you can't just be like, all right, well, we'll just put everybody in jail that's mean to trans people. Well, in the meantime, we have a stack of dead bodies over here because people are really mean to trans people. We can't just like punish people. We need to stop people from being mean, which is where the education comes in. And so how that relates is like, okay, whatever's going on in Alaska, not that I'm paying a lot of attention over there, something's very prevalent in the mindset over there. They think that things that don't work do. And so if we're going to get different politicians out of Alaska, we kind of need to educate the people there. I
mean, if we look here in Indiana, we have, what's his name? Our governor, Mike Holcomb. He tried to cut the funding for unemployment, like federal unemployment, because of the pandemic.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a beautiful story.
And essentially the judges shot that down, saying like, you guys, we can't do that right now. And I think
the people sued him. Yeah, because the people sued him.
Yeah,
don't leave that out. That was awesome. Oh God, no. Everybody should be very proud of the citizens of Indiana.
I'm not disagreeing with your whole educate the people and then we can legislate. I'm saying if we have these situations like the pandemic where we're having these policies put out of cutting unemployment, for example, the people themselves aren't going to educate them over cross-generational. It's going to be very rapid in this case in Indiana. And then it legislates. Well, not legislates totally, but like, you know what I mean? Like the people acted very rapidly and the government reacted very rapidly too. And so like on certain issues, of course, it could be very sluggish. Like trans rights will definitely be a lot sluggish than unemployment benefits. But I feel like...
But why?
It's more of a social impact, because not everyone knows a trans person, but everyone knows someone who's unemployed or something. Or like everyone's impacted by economics. Yeah. And then I would encourage people to know trans people, which would definitely have the same impact as being impacted like by federal unemployment benefits.
Yeah, so your governor's fatal flaw was not blaming the Democrats for it, right? Like you have to find a scapegoat before you piss off your own constituents. Like he had no reason to believe that people who voted for him weren't going to notice that and feel some kind of way about it. Trans people, they hate brown people and trans. Like these are anything you can other. Like they voted a guy in who would be mean to the others. You can't be mean to me. Like that was his issue there. And it's not like and this is American politics. That's why that didn't work. And you're going to see similar shit. But also because you guys have a law there too that other people of other states aren't able to access. I forget what it was, but like that's how they were able to have that happen so quickly. But yeah, I mean that was his fatal flaw. But I mean, again, the why is really important and why that works. And that's, again, what we need to get to. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Beach. And she was saying, you know, familiarity is something that can help change group mentality when, like, we have to stop othering the others. You know, so I relate to things that affect me directly, but also I relate to things that affect people I know. So a lot of like what, how we got like the gay rights when we got them was kind of the surge in gay representation in the media. We got to see and love a lot of gay characters and they stopped being othered. And then, lo and behold, like these laws start coming into effect. So, I mean, the why is really important. The why and how is really important when you're looking at why, what's going on with this trend I see.
I would definitely say action. Like, since there's social change in certain topics, action has definitely been a major movement in politics and how legislation works, and like how organizations take that action and social unrest to enact like lawsuits against Indiana.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, asking like why certain, why. Oh God, I'm forgetting things. I'm just.
Sorry.
I had a point and then I lost it. I'm in a daze.
Sorry, I'm giving Phoebe shit in the chat. You spelled ours wrong, Phoebe. Yeah, no, it's been a wonderful conversation. I think we've been going. Phoebe's going to be leaving now soon enough, so I'm going to bounce over to Phoebe and give her the floor because she's leaving now in about 15 minutes. So if there's anything you would like to say, Phoebe.
But what I'm listening to, that I would say not all trans people are that nice.
Well,
Some of us
people
are
are that
not
nice.
Some of us are not very nice. 3 years ago, I was an open trans woman who was standing in pubs, standing at rallies, giving speeches for white nationalists. 3 years ago. I'm not that anymore, but 3 years ago, that's what I was doing. You have people who are writing for periodicals in the UK, such as Debbie Hayton, who are trans people who are actively campaigning against improving trans rights. I understand what people say when they say that, yes, knowing more trans people, knowing more gay people, knowing more people from outside of your own bubble does help. But if you get in with the wrong sort of crowd, you can just reinforce your own bubble, your own prejudices, by going, hey, look, one of the people that I'm against agrees with me, so therefore I must be right. As opposed to it being what most people want it to be, this person is changing my mind. Whereas it can be, that person's reinforcing my mind. And I know, I used to be one of those people that used to do that. I used to reinforce the stereotypes, reinforce the prejudices, and I used to actively campaign against all of these things. So you need to be very careful with all this. You must expand your horizons by meeting people. But people are people. You need to do the education, you need to do the reading, you need to read the research, you need to broaden your horizons more generally, as opposed to relying on just the individual human in front of you, because the individual human, no matter how well-intentioned they are, will have their own experiences, their own biases, and their own prejudices, no matter how much you try. So, whilst it's lovely to say, meet a trans person, you need to do more than that.
I'm pretty sure that is not what I said, but
I'm not saying that's what you said, but that's
and it's not
the sentiment I'm picking up on, because I don't want it to be seen.
Yeah, and I just don't want it. I don't want to be taken that way, because it sounds like that's what you're trying to tell me I said, and just because you did a thing, transgender, alt-right, crazy people.
Not trying to say that that's what I took away from you said.
Right? I mean, people who don't agree with me deserve basic human rights.
Oh, I agree.
I
absolutely agree.
Two, again, it's just if you only rely on outliers, you're never going to move.
I agree with that, but the thing is that it needs to be more than just human interactions that you're doing.
It's not just because
I'm not saying that that's what you were saying. I'm just picking up on that point, and because I've got limited time and I can't pick up on every point that was spoken. I'm focusing on that point. And if you think that that's how I'm characterizing what you're saying, then that's not what I'm intending here. But it does need to be that you need to have a range of voices at the table, because at the end of the day, every group, no matter how you split the group down, will always have a range of voices within it.
The more voices we have, the more people that we have around us that disagree with us, the more true representation of the human race we have. And I always say that in the channel. It's true, like.
No, yeah, it is. I mean, I can't say that you need to meet a trans person. Like, I don't think that's what I said, and I'm certain it's not what I meant. I'm saying that people need to expose themselves to their out group. That's what I'm saying. And I mean, that is effective. It just is. There's going to be outliers. There's going to be like white people I don't like. There's going to be men I don't like. There's going to be trans people I don't like. There's, there's black women I don't like. But not everybody is going to be Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson, right? The more exposed.
Well, not everyone's going to be Blair White and Debbie Hayton.
It's amazing. Exactly. It's just. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Hate everyone equally.
Yes, be an asshole to everybody. That's the key. That's the way I go for it. I don't need to know who you are. I can be an asshole to you. I have to know who you are to be nice, but I can be an asshole to everybody.
The phrase that somebody said, "I don't discriminate. I hate everybody equally."
Mm-hmm. South Park.
Yes.
Well, Phoebe, yes, I know you have to bounce, so yeah.
I do.
Thank you very much for coming in. I know.
Toodaloo, everybody.
I know.
Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, she's not even going to let me thank her. Look, she really just wants to give him something. Bye.
We do have an outro trumpet for her.
Go. Oh, you have an outro trumpet. Go on. Is it the?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't. It has to be the presidential one. She was specific about this earlier.
The Marine Corps marching band.
Say, she has her own epic entrance. Phoebe, as always, lots of love. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure to
And thank you.
Bye.
And if Dave would be nice enough to post the link, Jeff said he might want to jump in. We'll probably not be going for maybe much longer, maybe another half an hour or so, but give Jeff a chance to come in. And if I can say, Maya, thank you very much. I totally wasn't going to steal all your points, but I had to blackmail you some way to get you in here, like, because you've been around for an awful long time. You always have an awful lot of good points to make. So.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me in, even though I hadn't poured a glass of wine yet. But I love talking politics.
Go and get the wine. We'll move it to the Patreon stream afterwards, and we'll go for another hour, and we'll all get wankered. It'll be grand. It'll be grand. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Thank you for joining. I know you haven't been in for much of it, but and I don't think we were pretty much on the topic of exactly what the title of the stream was, but have you any thoughts on how to change group mentality?
LSD and trauma.
Mass drugging. I hadn't considered that. And the worst thing is, it would probably be more effective.
You can also do unusual things where you just like take people, you sedate them, right? So it still involves drug. You don't give them anything psychotropic, right? You just drug them, but then you move them to a totally isolated individual, a location, right? You put them up on like a sound stage, and they're just surrounded by mushrooms and stuff, and they pop up and they're in like shackles or whatever, and then you just paddle them for half an hour. You do that for a little bit.
See,
those people that are getting paddled in that situation will bond. They will bond.
What's your thoughts on propaganda? If we're going down the route, if we're just going to mass change people's minds, like, would you use propaganda yourself, Jeff?
Well, I
know propaganda has with it a context of bad nature, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Would you, if you were trying to change a group mentality, would you put someone in charge? Would you take control of the mass media? Are you just going to be a dictator? What would you do? I posited this to Rex earlier, and we got an intellectual answer from Rex. I know you won't believe that, but it was.
Oh, no, it could be. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you'd cut me before the COVID thing, I probably would have told you that propaganda could work. But given the way that COVID played out and the way that the United States dealt with a lot of its stuff and a lot of other countries dealt with it, it kind of showed that propaganda can't work particularly well. Propaganda only works, I think, if you don't have a crisis of legitimacy in a significant portion of your population. And unfortunately, most populations in the world, they have that.
What are you thinking of as propaganda at that point?
What's up?
What are you thinking? I'm trying to work out what you what you're classing as propaganda for that.
Well, I mean, I think propaganda, like in its normal state, I think can work if there's a. Well, I don't know. I think what was going on with like the Trump administration amongst his followers, amongst about 35% of the U.S., that stuff was fairly propaganda-like, right? Like for them, they didn't feel like there was any kind of illegitimacy to what he was doing or to what he was saying or the kinds of things that he wanted to introduce, right? But to the vast majority of Americans and even people that were within the the system, I'm like, yeah, most of the stuff that he wanted to do or what he was talking about, the implications of it were unrealistic or illegal or whatever. So yeah, in that case, then I think that as as propaganda, that kind of state, that kind of what would you call it, state doctrine, right? Dictated from on high and given to the followers to below to repeat.
You go down that route, Jeff. You're going to put laws in state and just make them. This is the laws that everybody must follow, and after 2 or 3 generations, all these nice laws that you've put in are going to become just natural. Just.
No, I don't think that propaganda works. I think it only works in nowadays. It only works in cults. It only works in little pockets of people.
It got him into power.
How are we defining propaganda?
It got him into power. I have an example in the UK that pretty much. I would say that Brexit was won. The Brexit debate was won on propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I would actually say, okay. So there's always like propaganda. If it gets good and white hot, it actually has a little bit of a spread, right? So there's plenty of people that were willing to vote for Trump to just kind of see what would happen if they burned everything down, right? And there were even some Bernie types that were willing to do that. But then on top of it, given what was happening with Trump, there were other people that were willing to like take a look at it and like, well, you know what? Maybe we just roll the dice and we see what happens with this kind of guy. There's always outliers that they take the propaganda with a grain of salt, but they're kind of kissing cousins to it, right?
Well, this is where I was trying to work out the difference in propaganda between kind of overt and because when I say Brexit was run by propaganda, I don't think it was particularly run by propaganda during the campaign. I think it's been run by propaganda over the past 30 years.
Yeah, I think that well, and the thing is, I think that Trump and Brexit, most of that has been based on kind of right wing propaganda for a long time. A lot of it's the same kind of stuff that was going on. It was being propped up by think tanks back when Reagan was in and Thatcher was in, and they've been just propping this stuff up over time. And the more they've propped it up and the more they've kind of built it up, the more dings it's taken. They just keep kind of like doubling back to it's about the culture, it's about tradition, it's about people being free to buy stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's just basically kind of bullshit. I think the UK and the United States suffer from this a kind of a parasitical an ideology that you can have a government that runs on private wealth making ideals that you don't have to worry about and you don't have to spend money on. It's actually it's a really lazy idea, but it kind of excites people. Like, oh, we can just have the market decide. Like, no, you can't. No, you actually have to work and you have to think and you have to talk about it and you have to deal with people and you actually have to do some problem solving. Just suck it up and deal with it. But the vast majority of people are just like, no, I don't want to deal with that.
So the question is then, how do you stop it? How do you counter it? How do you take those people that have fallen for the propaganda and convince them?
The only thing that you can do to them is I can't remember what philosopher says that you have to subject them to the nausea. You have to subject them to that to an extent that it gives them it makes them throw up. You basically feed it to them until it makes them sick. That's the best that you can do.
Well,
just shove it down their throats.
There's been a number of people coming out. CNN has done a lot of, and I actually about 4 years ago or so, told myself I'd never watch CNN again, but they were the only network doing the QAnon interviews, like really hardcore. And listening to those people talk about how they got out of QAnon was interesting, and it's really different. There's a number of ways, but a lot of it is just like people like actually talking them through it, like having these long, like, maybe you don't want to like on Twitter. We haven't seen that be effective yet.
Did you say
don't get me started
on Twitter?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking mute myself. So I just
Not the best way to get somebody out of like whatever the propaganda spell is, but actually,
Have you tried memes?
you need to have somebody that they respect, someone that they preferably look up to. A lot of the Q people were like, if Trump had said Q is bullshit, I would have believed him.
Yeah.
But like, it's got to be somebody that they have like a reverent respect for. It could be a child, but like it's got to be like, usually it's, best friend, parent, pastor, somebody, that they look up to. And then they, you can hope kind of talk them out of it. It's not a conversation. It takes weeks and months.
But you saw like during the development of this whole thing, it would shift back and forth where somebody like a Cohen, right? Like he was, this was a guy that if he said anything, he basically was speaking, the words of Trump until he got caught, and then he started testifying against Trump, and then obviously he's a fake and a phony. He needs to be.
Well, most of the people that were like lulling them into this like sense of false security were all fakes and phonies. And then I've heard other people talk about it. Oh God, I forget. She's, do you know the name? She's like a journalist. She's the wife of one of the guys, and they filed for divorce. And so she's been all over the internet, like just trashing him and the entire Republican Party. But she was saying that, almost everybody on the Hill, like, understands that it's bullshit. Nobody really buys into it. And you have to go along with the grift because that's where the money is. But no one on the left will accept you. And then once you fall out of favor from the right, like you can't really get back in. So it's
a lot harder to fall out of favor with the right than it is to fall out of favor with the left. Falling out of favor with the left, you just have to.
No, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, but that's just a standard.
On the right, you could do anything. You could be an actual pedophile. Can I say that? Like, they don't care.
No, you can't. No, you're not allowed to say a pedophile.
Mac, like a staple of Q is that they believe, like, all Democrats are the P word, and they drink baby blood, and that's how they keep their youth. Whatever the fuck all this means.
It is.
But they actually have P words in the Republican Party, and they're just like fake news. We're voting for him again. The only thing right now is like disagreeing with Trump or coming out against Trump. Like that's really the only thing that gets you out of favor with the wackadoos in the right. What I'm really hoping for is that the centrist Republicans do what they say they're going to do and start their own party. I'm like, yes, please, I will fund it.
Because at this point, if they do that, then the Democrats just keep winning. Because once they're split, there's nothing going to happen to them.
Right. No, initially. Yeah. You don't want to make that a long-term plan because
how close are the Democrats to splitting?
For the Democrats, what?
How close are the Democrats to splitting? Because there was a lot of talk about after
Bernie
didn't get nomination.
So there's definitely two parties under the Dems. We definitely, and progressives have about 40% of the party. They could split. They probably won't. But I'm kind of got this secret crossed thing.
They can't really afford to at this point, and they
can't. Yeah,
they've been doing this for a long time, and now that Biden's there, and Biden's probably only going to be a one-term president, and God knows what's going to happen in the next election, but more than likely there's going to be a lot of MAGA 2.0 shit happening, not just at state levels, but also national levels.
No, there's no
it's
better
retarded.
time than for both parties to fracture. We have 4 parties. We very clearly have 4 parties at this time.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that. Like if they would pinky swear, if the right would pinky swear, we will break off. Then I will like I used to be a Republican, and then when I left the party, I've been independent ever since. I would be a registered progressive if they would split.
That's mad. I always thought that was weird. Dave, are you registered as anything? Like?
No.
No.
I don't agree with any of them.
No, but that's the idea of registering yourself voluntarily to let someone know.
Up until a point, I potentially would have joined the Tory party. Until I actually got interested in politics and did some research. Because I was very much brought up a Tory.
No, it would be amazing if they would break up, because we'd see the rise of the Green Party, the Libertarian Party. Not that it's awesome, but we could finally have our multi-party system and make some real changes, the changes that we need. But pipe dream. I don't know that any of that. It's definitely not very likely.
You see, this is something that I did want to lead into, which we'll use to round up here. We'll see what the crack is if we want to continue for a wee while, but it needs. I'm getting quite stoned, so he's going to move off this channel anyway. Something that I wanted to lead into, if anyone wants to take part, I'm going to make a shout out here on the channel. I've mentioned it to Jeff before. Dave knows about it. If I can get the timing right, I definitely want to get Badger in as well. And leaning something towards I mentioned with Rex earlier. Trying to find the right scenario, don't get me wrong, that's what the problem is, but you've got a fresh start. How far do we go with the economies being set up with factories and things like that? But say for talk's sake that COVID wiped out everybody but 1 billion people. Where do we move from there? How do we go forward? What rules are we going to implement? How are we going to make the perfect society, so to speak?
Put me in charge.
Fuck off.
How is that a stream?
Pardon?
How is that a stream?
No,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty blatant there from Dave.
yeah, but we'll have to ask Dave questions to find out exactly. Dave, views on drugs.
Yeah, drugs are good. Yeah, they can have all the drugs.
They can have all the drugs. So no regulation, no nothing.
Well, I want quality regulations.
Right. Oh, so good drugs doesn't matter how many you take. Okay. Doesn't matter if it's in the back alley.
I like how this is turning out. This is a little bit like the Kang and Kodos version of elections on like The Simpsons, where Dave is like, drugs for all, abortions for no one,
But there's a lot of questions, right? There's a few questions in there that you could throw in that I think would be very, very good. Like, do you genetically mark, or do you take a genetic marker of every kid? Do you make sure people are of a good standard to be parents? Who decides a good standard? There's an awful lot of routes to go down with that conversation to create the, I'm starting to sound like a fucking, what do you call it, genetic wars or something here. It's getting awful.
Eugenicist.
Yeah, I'm starting to sound like that, so I'm going to stop. This is why it's not going to continue on the main channel.
You're the reason why we're going to have to fight that war 20 years from now.
But you get, right, it's a good conversation to have. I generally think there's an awful lot of good that we could do without going down the eugenics war. I not just that specific.
I can't even work out.
Do you have a basic human wage? Do you bring in capitalism? Do you bring in socialism? Do you bring in a mix of the two? There's an awful lot of things there to be discussed about. Actual education of the kids,
I mean, if we're down to 1 billion people, like, we'd almost have to. That's a lot of people. Like, we'd almost have to be socialist.
It's still a lot of people.
But like, no, I think we almost.
How many people is in America at the minute?
About 3.5 million.
What?
I mean,
excuse me.
300 million. God.
I was going to say it's about 340 million, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say 3 million.
Pardon?
Sorry, I was riffing on 1910 stats.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, we'll use America because it is so big and it does cover an awful lot of different not time zones, seasons and different growing seasons and things like that. So we'll say America, and we'll go 150 million people. You fuckers were lucky enough to get some wee variant of the vaccine, and everybody else in the world got wiped out. We've got America to work with, the north, the south, the whole lot of that, and we've got 150 million people.
Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of the southeast of the United States. We just need to steamroll them with a huge...
So anybody that came from Florida, right? The population of the entire planet...
Hey, fuck you, Jeff.
The population of the entire planet has been brought down from, what is it now, nearly 8 billion people to 150 million. And the first thing Jeff does is line everybody up from Florida and go, sorry, fuckers, you should have died anyway.
No, I'm just saying that everybody in Florida gets put up against the wall. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, in fairness,
Sorry, Rex.
No, come on. In just defense, it's Florida. Come on.
Florida isn't the South. It's simply a drain. It's
Florida.
It's a drain.
Yeah.
Like all the goofiness and the trashiness of the eastern half of the United States drains into that wang. So if you just like either chop that off or like clean it or churn it or whatever, you know.
Well, it is made of limestone, so that'd be pretty.
Anybody from the South that's got any kind of like like if you're from Savannah and you can survive in Savannah, do you move to Florida? No.
Fuck no.
Because Florida is trash. If you live in Savannah, Georgia, or you live in Shreveport, Louisiana, or you live even in Montgomery, Alabama, like, can your life get any worse? Yes, you could be in Florida.
Is it Huntsville, fucking Florida, or something like that?
That's Alabama.
There's a really stereotypical fucking Florida name. What is it? By the way, thank you very much,
Sarasota.
Jeff. We just added a new command to the Pigbot. If you now go *Florida, it comes up the toilet of the USA #game.
Well, that's fair.
The South's trash can.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and Rex, Rex, I don't know where you are.
I live in Virginia. It's the northernmost southern state.
Yeah,
southern state. You're really fucking
Virginia is the gentrified suburb of the South.
Fair enough. That's
Fair
fair.
enough. Yeah.
Phony beetle maniacs. Capitalism sucks. We can all agree that. We do if it is the main system, but I don't think that socialism on its own will work. I do think there has to be, like with everything, it's never a label. It's always grey.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with the barter system. Like if I grow a bunch of corn or green beans or potatoes, and you want to trade me some beef for my corn and green beans and potatoes, then hey, that's fair enough.
So you're for a Ron Swanson style economy?
Oh God!
I'm gonna trade you an apple.
How are we going to tax you?
God damn it, Jeff. How are you?
Dave says, how are we going to tax you? And he shouts at Jeff. Well done, Dave. You did that really good.
Well, in 2 days, I can grow 4 marijuana plants on my property and can walk around with an ounce in my pocket. How are you going to tax that?
Well, we'll have one of the plants.
No. Fuck you. Get off my property.
We're going to come in and dig it up while you're asleep.
No. Get off my fucking property.
Get off my lawn.
I sleep with my shotgun. Okay.
I like the fact that Dave has got a lot of like kind of Doctor Who style intrusive state and remedies for this. I'm gonna get them taxes from you. I don't care how many shotguns you got sticking out of your bed.
And it's really funny because he always picks on me at the original time of his quiz, if you can call it a quiz. That I always.
I do give you shit. So that's fair.
I always try to monetize every question he give me. He got annoyed. Capitalism for you, bitches.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stoned. There's that shit.
See, there you go.
If you're going to think about it, I think the population has to go down to about 50,000.
Oh, well, that
50,
happened
000.
once. That happened once back in the day.
It went down to 20,000 in India, I think.
Yeah. That's why all Indians look the same. David, you making a racist
Dave,
joke, are you?
Dave, how are you going to get the global population into 50,000?
Well, put them all in Florida and then nuke it.
Just put Trump in charge for 30 years. Yeah, everyone will just keep dying. Yeah, he managed to kill off 500,000 Americans. So yeah.
Well, a comet or an asteroid, that would do it.
Sure.
No, keep the Republicans in
Beige-
office for too long. And
Beige is asking me what accent that George Floyd's daughter spoke in. I'm like, I have no idea about accents. Dave will tell you this. I'm slightly Asper. I can't even pick out accents. Countries, yes, but not specific areas or anything. No, I'm not good at that.
it's got to be New York, right?
I haven't a clue. I didn't even see it.
Wait,
I read about it. I didn't see it.
Well, some fucker over the weekend kept calling me Australian. How do I fucking sound Australian?
I can
hear it. Yeah.
I could hear it. I could know as somebody that doesn't know an Australian accent very well. I could see them falling for you claiming to be Australian.
And in saying that, man, as badly as I just said that I can't pick out accents, there is some mannerisms that I would pick out on your. Sorry, not mannerisms, inflections. Sorry, you're not praise. There is some inflections that you would use that would be slightly. I was going to say Australic. Sound like they're from Australia.
I'm going to be really frustrating here. If Rex is Australian, then Dave is Welsh. All right.
The only way I pick out accents and the only way I pick out people from different countries is how
I
they
can
say.
fucking tell a Welsh accent, you bastards.
How could you not tell a Welsh accent?
Well, that's what I wonder. Like, some people can.
Well, as soon as I heard MathPig, I was like Irish.
Who did that fake
He's
Welsh
Irish.
accent that sounded more Liverpudlian?
What? Kidwelly?
That was better, but you can definitely tell that you're from Liverpool.
What the fuck is
God
that?
damn it. God damn it, man.
No, God.
No, that's me.
I'm going to feel really bad about this because I imagine that at some point I'm going to have some Welsh coming after me. The Welsh Mafia are after Jefferson.
The chat wants to hear you say dingo.
Dino.
See, that sounded Australian.
Stereotypical as well, man. It's the stereotypical. It's not that you sound Australian, you sound like the stereotypical. Like when I go into the Irish accent, there's nobody in Ireland actually sounds the way I do a stereotypical Irish accent. But
Just shout at someone.
That is true. Yeah, MathPig does not sound, his accent is a little bit unique.
Yeah, my accent is, I'm not Belfast. I'm sort of growing up in the border and stuff. Wonder Crab, you left. I posted my DM in the chat about 3 times. I asked it what yours was. Just post your Discord name in the chat and I'll send you a DM. Yeah, I could, this is just the way I talk. I talk very fast. I'm actually, I slow down for the internet. Dave will tell you, I slow down for the internet. But,
well, I don't entirely get it either because I can, if I listen to Cider and Port, if I listen to Steven talk or Craft Tequila talk, even between Steven and Craft Tequila,
Crafty's from Dublin and spent an awful lot of time in Cork, and that is the 2 strongest accents. I will admit right now that I cannot understand anybody from Cork. You just can't, man. It's insane. It's worse than a drunk Glaswegian. Does not happen.
Robbie, say a sentence as you would say it to your mother.
Oh, wait. Beej wants me to say, a dingo ate my baby. Did that sound Australian?
Wonder Crab. Only the
part where you said dingo.
There's a hashtag and a number Wonder Crab that comes after it, right? Just search this. Okay, Wonder Crab, making this very simple.
Who is Wonder Crab?
It's a person I want to talk to.
I have no idea.
There's my Discord name. Search that, add friend, type that number in with the name and stuff, and it'll pop up and I'll find you.
I'm inclined to believe that if Rex were to pronounce the word Wonder Crab, it would sound Australian. Rex,
you can slip into a wee Irish accent. I'm trying to get the wee Irish accent right because I'm a very, very stoned man, so I don't know if it'll come across right at all. But I'm definitely trying. And it's not that I would talk to my mother like this, but I would talk to my mother at this speed. So it's very, very hard to pick up on things because you'd be talking at this sort of speed.
Yeah, okay,
Wonder Crab? Okay, Wonder Crab. There you go.
That doesn't sound Australian at all. That just sounds completely American. Wonder Crab.
Wonder Crab.
The person I had interactions
you did
with,
do the
he came into my Discord and he mentioned Darth Dawkins, and the mods in my Discord jumped on him like a motherfucker and banned him.
Wait, what did he do?
He mentioned
Darth
that he had
Dawkins.
respect for how Darth Dawkins, or asshole 104.
He's got respect for Darth Dawkins.
Why?
He is the way for. I'm
Has he met Darth?
No. I am open to talk to everyone. I am wording it badly. I'm not going to speak for the man. All right, but he came in and he could appreciate his approach to argument. I'm trying to find the right words or whatever.
Darth Dawkins is a coward.
If Darth Dawkins wants in here, I can
See,
bow
this
out.
is what happened. You see, this is what happened, and my mods fucking jumped on him and banned him. All right, and this is a person I wanted to talk to, and the man got into my Discord and was banned before I even got to fucking talk to him. So search my name, man, and send me a DM. All right.
I did not ban him. I've got questions.
And I can Maya would hold off, and I certainly didn't. But take my wrench away from me, should you think that I would be so?
No, like I generally I'm TOS girl. Like if they're I really don't care what people say as long as they're not like trying to get the streamer banned, because that's not good for me. But like most of the time people just don't know how to convey their thoughts like adults, and they start waving the wrench around like it's a big dick. And it's not. Like the wrench should be like, just know, like, you need to respect rules, and if you don't, I've got this wrench. It shouldn't be like, you like who? I don't like that person. Bam, 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 bam. Like, that's bullshit. But that's just me.
I have no friend incoming request from you, Wonder Crab. I have also banned you from my Discord, and Dave has also sent you the invite to his Discord. That is now 4 ways of getting in contact with me. If you can't get in contact with me, I don't know. We're just going to start calling.
And he's actually giving you his number now.
Hey, there we go. Find it, brilliant.
Wait a minute. No, I mean, this seems stupid though, right? Because like he found it the first time. Like, what's the problem?
It's easy, look. I copied his name. I hit paste, and then I hit sorry.
His name is reminding of Wonder Boy, the
he's in my
Tenacious D song.
Wonder Boy.
What is the secret of your power?
Do you want to know a secret? Do you want to know another secret? There's a channel out there that's friend of a friend of a friend that I found. That's a singing channel once a week where you can go, and it's really late at night, and you can go and just sing and put your music up and stuff and all. And there's a couple of recordings out there of me singing my wee heart out over YouTube. Good luck to you.
Oh, God damn it.
Good. Oh, man.
God.
Like 5 in the morning. I think there's one of them where it's 5 in the morning and I'm very, very drunk. And, yeah.
No, that's an awesome story. All right, but like this Wonder Crab guy.
It's not a nonsense story.
Maya just blows it off. It's like, oh, yeah, cool.
No, that's awesome. Anyways, are we like sure that Wonder Crab's not like a troll?
No.
I'm pretty sure he's Wonder Boy.
No, if we can, like, moving on from the person, I have now made contact. I'm going to talk to him. We don't know who he is. This is the reason I wanted to talk to him. And he mentioned something about Darth, and the mods jumped on him. And defending his point, regardless of defending a person, they banned him. So I'm now talking to him. We're going to move this on to the Patreon stream. So we're going to round around the room. We're going to run round them.
Round robin.
We're going to start with you, Dave, because you made a cunt out of me. So go on ahead, Dave.
Are we shilling? Are we talking about something?
We're going to end up with our final thoughts on the stream, and you can more than happily shill yourself. We're not leaving. We're just going to move to the other channel because this is getting...
Okay. I've got a special TMI crossover question show tomorrow night at 9:30 UK. And my link's in the channel, and I need 1 sub to get me to 670.
That sounds fancy.
You need 1 sub.
Yeah.
Oh.
To get you to 617.
1,670. It's been annoying me being on 1,660 for the last 3 months. It's because I've not been doing many shows, so my subs have not been going up. I'm still struggling with how we control the masses. That sounds like I'm trying to take over the world.
I'm combining propaganda with mind-controlling drugs. I think that's the way to go.
Thanks, Jeff.
Wait, thanks who?
No, I was stuck on propaganda being the only way to do it. You're going to have to lie to the people, and the end justifies the means and all that sort of bullshit. But then Jeff came in with a great idea. Just drug the water. Mass control drugs and a couple of things in the TV for a year, yeah, you're grand. You're sorted.
To be fair, those were contingent on some things.
Well,
Never mind.
LSD is effective. I'm just saying. Oh, everybody shut up. Okay. I'll make a joke and everybody shuts up.
It's all fruit of the poison tree at this point, Rex. Sorry.
The opinions of
Maya, have you anything coming up?
not necessarily
There you go. You
reflect.
talk next, Maya. What is your final thoughts, and have you anything that you would like to contribute?
I would like to advocate for adults being adults. You can change other people's minds, and it's okay if they don't agree with you initially. You can move them over, and it's you can't change anyone's opinion in a conversation. You have to be willing to play the long game. If you don't like what somebody says, just don't fucking talk to them. It's really fucking easy. I do this to all of you every day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, man. We always respect you. You're always there in the background in the live chats, and you always have been here for a long time, as long as I know, and full respect to you.
I'm here for moral support and get your numbers up so that you make the algorithm. I'm good for that.
Jeff, you laughed. You're next.
Who's next?
Jeff.
Who's next? Me?
You.
Oh, okay. No, I just want. I also want to like bank off like what Maya said. More people should listen to what Maya says, and more people should follow her on YouTube. So, other than that,
Maya, what subs are you at?
Like 50 or something.
Right, we're gonna get Maya to 100. When we get Maya to 100, Maya said she'll do a video. Everybody here heard it.
I think I have just under 400 subscribers. I don't know if Maya has that many. Maya deserves at least twice as many more than I do. Mostly because of the stuff that she does.
I'll do a show if MathPig and Jeff are in the room with me talking shit and drinking.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Don't invite Jeff. Do not invite Jeff.
Don't make it a weekend because my wee girl will be here and we'll get properly shit for
Jeff's been good to me.
Rex, you're just saying that because I was abusive to Florida.
Make it a
Don't
Sunday,
worry about
Maya.
it.
Make it some Sunday. We'll have some church.
I'm gonna ask for it.
You will have some church on a Sunday. Make it a Sunday. Be great.
Yeah. But anyway, no. Yeah.
Okay, Parker. Have you anything happening? Do you have a channel? Do you do? As I say, I'm not too sure. This is the first time you've been on. Have you anything? Your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think we had a pretty good discussion about, group mentality and like politics and whatnot, and how crappy people can take words. I don't have much of a channel. I have some videos up. They're pretty crap. I've been reading a lot of books, so I've been trying to learn stuff before I post anything really of content.
At least that's an honest answer. I'm not going to put anything out until you're confident in it. Appreciate that. Clockwork Rex, you're just hanging about the basement with Jay and Jeff, yeah?
What? Who? Me?
What?
The Australian in the corner.
Yeah, the Australian.
Yeah, I'm Australian in the top right corner. Yeah.
You're smack dab in the middle, actually, on the screen.
I know, I just read it looked.
Well, I'm looking at the StreamYard.
I don't give a fuck. Come on, plug stream, plug. You motherfucker! I
MathPig yeeted us.
No, you see, Dave's an asshole. Dave's an asshole. Right.
Oh, but I like it.
No, because he's a fucking prick. Because he's put secret commands in his code and he's disabled them in his own. So I can't go into his stream and tell him to get out of his own stream, but he can do it in everyone else. He's a sneaky wee evil dictator. Go on ahead there, Clockwork.
I do have a channel. I may start StreamYard and shit. I don't know. Critical's a cool guy. Maya's cool. Jeff, fuck you, Jeff. Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
That was just for Rex. I love you, Jeff. I'm just trying to make Rex feel more comfortable in his home,
Rex hates.
Oh, hey, comfortable is relative. So.
Well, I've nothing else planned this week except for possibly that stream about wiping out the entire world for the exception of 150 million people in America, as we've sussed out tonight, or something along them lines.
Can we have a stream first as to how we'd do it? I've got some ideas.
Dave, Jesus Christ, Dave, you're twisted.
It's
The
COVID.
question is, how are we going
COVID's
to fund
gonna
this?
do it.
Like, yeah, I don't give a shit about the why. I want to know the how.
Well, that's what like. If everybody's up for having the crack and stuff, we'll move over to the Patreon stream, the members stream, and stuff like that. That's what happens when we get too drunk and shit. The conversation will not end. It's just gonna move. But yeah, Dave, fuck you, Maya. Thank you, Jeff. Don't know about you, Parker. Nice to meet you, and Clockwork Rex. Yeah, I've ran out of views. Fucks.
Yeah, TikTok.
Fucking
I don't
motherfucking
get into
fucking
the
wanking
Patreon
fucking
stream.
bastard. And
I don't
fucking
get
Did
into
you-
Patreon stream.
Why do you keep deleting yourself from the stream?
No, I don't. Dave,
I keep doing it.
look in the private chat. Dave is typing in secret command.
Oh, okay.
See that
Okay,
shit?
okay.
See that shit? Yeah.
Oh, I do. Oh, I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
You can do it
Dave's,
too.
Neat.
He annoys you.
Dave's really nice, right? Where he gives out this free software to everyone. What he doesn't tell them is he's got this shit in the background.
He gives himself again. Fuck.
And then the best of it is, right?
See, this is the kind of thing.
Oh my god, I'm
Dave, I
talking
wanna
and
tell you,
nobody's
like-
listening because I'm fucking kicked again. I'm gonna kill him.
MathPig's always telling me, he's like, no, we got this code. We got this code that can get you. We can get you all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like that's interesting, but it gets them all. It gets you all this backdoor shit.
To be fair, I am not an arsehole. You can disable it. It is
Oh,
very easy.
okay.
Yeah, Dave has it automatically disabled in his own. So he's giving you shit when you're in his stream. And you're like, well, fuck you. I'm going to remove you. And you hit enter. And all happens is Dave laughs. Because it's fucking disabled.
I gotta say then, if you've left that in there just for the laughs,
He does.
hats off to you, MathPig. Hats off to you.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good fun.
Well, I kick everybody else from my stream. So it's only respectful that, you know. And it's
Yeah,
not like
no, I
I'm
get it.
Wait, Fabio is up for a stream on how to discussing how exactly we reduced the number of people to 50,000.
No, we can do that later, right?
Yeah, that's the Patreon stream where we talk about genocide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where the atheists sit around talking about which people need to die,
Yeah.
and then the Christians find that video and mine it for themselves. Like, you see? Do you see now?
Wait, is all removed? Is that a command, or is it just
Clean remove.
individuals?
You have to
Oh,
get
no,
the
there's no all. I didn't do an all.
no. You have to get the fucking capital. You have to get the. It is cap specific as well. You can't just type it in. You have to be specific on their name, which is annoying sometimes because you be typing their fucking name in and Dave's just laughing at you again because it's like you're doing it wrong, you dick. Fuck you. You have to be very particular. But again, shout out to Dave for all the work that he's doing. He makes all of this possible. He makes it.
By the way, Maya, thank you again for all the relevant points that happen.
It is my channel, and I will speak when I want to, Jeff. Just to.
What the hell?
Well, I'm too lazy to type remove, so I'm just gonna hit the button.
I'm trying to compliment another guest that you have on this show, and you just backstage me.
Yeah,
And to be fair, she is the best guest.
she is. Yeah, probably.
She is. She's a good guest.
I'm gonna kick myself then.
Am I a great guest because I'm not talking?
Let's get rid of Dave.
No, I have to apologize to Maya. I apologize for MathPig's behavior because
In saying that, you shut me down
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was bumming and blowing about how good Dave was, so we were doing the same thing.
There are other commands too.
Dave.
Shut up, Dave.
Come on, man.
Fucking wanker. Fucking wanker. Right.
It's like this is the Emperor Palpatine versus Darth Vader at this point. This is just a little creepy.
Oh. Right, Jeff, you were saying how wonderful Maya is. Go on ahead.
No. I thought she raised some really good points here, and I thought, yeah, I always like when Maya can show up in streams and give her opinion. Always appreciate her input.
It's always well thought out. It's always very articulate, which is what I like about Maya, is that she can convey her point to the masses, and we can understand. It's
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to be jumping in the chat and filibuster. That was awesome. Filibustering is clearly my preferred mode based on how often I do it.
And she will also, if you take the wrong stance, even if she agrees with you or not, she will kick you in the dick hard.
Look, sometimes People come to the right decision for the wrong reasons, and then I have to tell Jeff about himself.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah, and then she shows up and she's like, "Hey, Jeff, you're not as woke as you thought you were." Dick kick. Ow.
Dick punch.
Yeah.
If apostrophe dick punch or pigbot will randomly dick punch someone in the chat.
Are we moving?
Yes, we're moving. So I'm just scheduling the other one. I can't do fucking 10 things at a time. And Jeff was filibustering. So
I'm not What the fuck?
Jeff always filibusters.
Constantly.
What?
Damn it.
Right.
You guys.
Okay.
Are we live yet, by the way?
No, yeah, we're fucking still. Dave, what have you got coming up on Tuesday?
A TMI special episode of questions. Should be fun.
Yeah, is it going to be good?
Yeah, it is.
Is it how good?
Well, you're not on, are you? So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no. I never do be a TMI, unfortunately. It doesn't time well with me, and yeah, Maya's great. Anyone else know about Maya being great? Right, hopefully I've done that right and it's scheduled, and for the members and the Patreons and the other nice people who have the link, it should appear over there. So I will say thank you very much to everybody that's come around. Thank you, Dave, for the topic tonight. And yeah, it's been really good fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We went for good enough time, didn't we? Well, how long did we go for? 2 hours? An hour and a half?
I think it was over 2 hours.
Yeah. Good time. Everybody turned up. Unfortunately, we got Jeff, but he's here now to stay. He's like herpes. Can't get rid of him.
Sorry, Matt.
Well, just comes along.
I'm just filling time because I can't find OBS in one of my tabs. All right, shut up. Okay, there's find OBS. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for coming.
Remove them.
Now you want to talk, Parker. Now you want to talk. Go on ahead.
I'm just saying.
No, go on ahead. Go on ahead, Parker. Go on ahead. What would you like to say?
I was gonna say this. Wait, I was gonna say that. That's it. I don't know if the stream ended.
No, the stream
is over.
Stream's still going because you something had very poignant to say.
I don't know what happened.
Nothing at all.
I'm waiting for him to pop back in.
Yeah,
come back in.
Yeah, he'll come back in. He'll come back in a minute.
I've been fucking talking and nobody's been
is.
listening. This is, Dave's getting his fucking, right, these are all motherfuckers. And if I can add this is the new Patreon video. If I can get it right, I'm trying to add the new Patreon video that I fucking...
I've just well tested this then.
No, this isn't well tested. I'm doing a fucking complete screen grab and hoping that it works out. Alright, so on that note, everybody, thank you very much. We'll see you soon in the other channel. Dave, I hate you. Maya, I love you. Jeff, you're not so bad. Parker, nice to meet you. And as always, Clockworks, I ran out of things to say when I get to you. So
yeah.
Well, shoot me a link on Discord, and I might join.
Oh, you are? You're in the room. You're literally in the room right now.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't have to go anywhere, and it's totally just making this a mess. Okay, everybody, see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Jeff is a clone. I mean, what the fuck?
I'm an evil clone.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute everybody just for a minute, please.
My mic was muted.
Oh yeah, you're an asshole. I'm playing the video, Jeff. Shush.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing it rough and ready.
I'll mute myself.
Go kick everybody's ass.
When do we have to be quiet?
Are we live?
Give me a minute. I got the hiccups. I'll be right back.
I had it muted the whole time.